This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
And welcome, everyone, to the Start Spreading the News podcast. Let's make tonight a great night. My dear friends, this week and next week, I will be flying solo. EJ is not with me. This week's show is pre-recorded. I recorded it yesterday, Sunday morning. Next week, of course, is Christmas Day, and I again will record the program at least a day, probably 2 days in advance. So where are we right now with the Yankees? What I'd like to do today, to have a little fun, to break it up, is walk through the Yankees position by position and determine if we feel, or if I feel, they're done. They're good enough. And then what I'd like to do is have a quiz with all of you and see if you can figure out and remember all of the players who played for the Yankees the last time they won the World Series, 2009. It's my hope that 2024, this coming season, will be the next time that the Yankees win the World Series. Now, in order to do that, they're not done yet. They have a lot of work to do. You see, in the last many years, they dug themselves a deep, deep hole. They had positions they didn't address. They didn't go all in, as we've talked about many times. They've made poor player acquisition decisions like Josh Donaldson for third base and IKF as a starting shortstop, never addressing left field last year with a quality left fielder, never getting a leadoff hitter, not having good lineup balance with any left-handed hitters of note, except for Anthony Rizzo. And so it's been years and years of poor decisions and or neglect, passing on some big-time free agents who could have helped make a difference. And once you get to that position, that far away from where you need to be, the only way out in sports is really to either tank and hopefully draft and develop a great young core years and years in the future, or you've got to make big trades and sign big time players to get out of the hole. And that's where the Yankees are. And I really feel, and I talked about this on Saturday on the Dr. Sem Yankee show, I really feel, I'm confident that the Yankees, especially seeing what the Dodgers are doing, are going to go all in this winter to do whatever it takes to get out of that hole so they can compete and win, and hopefully win the World Series. So let's take a look at the Yankees position by position and do a quick determination of whether they're ready or not for 2024, whether there's room for them to grow. The catchers look like they will be Jose Trevino and Austin Wells. Wells is an up-and-coming, supposed great player, great hitter. There's always been questions about his catching ability. But as far as a hitter, and he's a left-handed hitter, the sky has always seemed to be the limit. So I think the Yankees are ready to make that commitment to Austin Wells and see if he can be a catcher, at least on a somewhat regular basis. And of course, they have Jose Trevino, who should be a 100% healthy, to partner with him. It sort of reminds me of when Joe Girardi, the veteran, that's Trevino, mentored the young kid Jorge Posada. That worked well. So I'm happy with the Yankee catchers as we head to 2024. First base is Anthony Rizzo. Now, the Yankees really messed up Anthony Rizzo last year after the head injury. They played him for 9 weeks, I believe, and his production fell off the cliff because of a concussion. How no one noticed that, how they just let that go on for months, is one of the great mysteries of our time regarding the Yankees. It made no sense. And the fact that the Yankees never seem to hold anybody accountable for such terrible decision making makes no sense. But in the end, everyone is saying that Anthony Rizzo is healthy. And if Anthony Rizzo is healthy, the Yankees should be fine at first base. Now, let me say, and I wrote an article that appeared for the Internet Baseball Writers Association of America last week, and then I reprinted it on my site, Start Spreading the News, that the Yankees should get Cody Bellinger. I think he solves many of the concerns if the Yankees are going to go for it in 2024. What Bellinger would be able to do is give the Yankees some insurance in case Anthony Rizzo is not able to come back. I believe Anthony Rizzo will be back. I don't think he'll be a Yankee in 2025, which is another reason to get Bellinger, because then he can be your first baseman going forward. But that's a different story for a different time. So as we head into 2024, I think the Yankees are okay at first base. They're 2 for 2, catcher and first base. Now, one of their most productive hitters last year and for most of his career has been second baseman Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres seems to sometimes lose focus on the base paths. His fielding, while it's excellent much of the time or most of the time, is sometimes erratic. And he's been known to go into some prolonged slumps as he goes away from his natural hitting, usually up the middle and to the right side and going with the pitch when he seems to get homer happy. But besides that, he's a productive player. I'm high on Gleyber Torres. I think Gleyber is going to have a fine season. So I think the Yankees are set at second base. They're 3 for 3. Shortstop is a little more of a concern, but I don't see any solution. Last year, the Yankees anointed Anthony Volpe as their shortstop. He was the shortstop of last year, and hopefully he's the shortstop for years to come. Now, I've said a million times and written a million more that I think the Yankees really messed up with Anthony Volpe last year when they expected him to be a leadoff hitter just a couple weeks into his career. That was just not good thinking. And that decision was made because the Yankees never addressed getting a leadoff hitter. So they messed up with a kid who really didn't have a whole lot of AAA experience and expected him to be a major league leadoff hitter. It made no sense at the time. And I believe the fact that the Yankees moved him all over the lineup, along with the fact that they've never really taught him how to hit except to try to have a great launch angle and big exit velocity to try to make him into a home run hitter, as they seem to teach most of their prospects. I don't think any of that contributed to him having a successful first year, and he didn't. A lot of people will say he did really well. He didn't. An average OPS plus is 100. Volpe's last year was 81. That's well below average. That's not good. Now, do I think he's going to be better? I do. I think he's going to do fine. I think he's going to acclimate better in his second season. If I were the Yankees and they have the players to do this, I would still bat him ninth. I would not move him all over the lineup, and I would not expect him to be the leadoff hitter. Maybe in June, if he's hitting real well, you say, let's try it. But let's not have the Yankees do that to start the year. It's just bad baseball. It's a bad idea. But are the Yankees set at shortstop? I think they are. They're not going to get a shortstop. If by some reason Volpe crashes and burns and is a disaster, which I don't think will happen, they still have Oswald Peraza, who was really the guy Volpe was challenging for the starting job. So they have another top-ranked minor leaguer who could slot in at shortstop. At third base, I think the Yankees are weak. I think they still need to address third base. At this moment, their starting third baseman is DJ LeMahieu in his mid to late 30s. He hasn't had great years the last numbers of years. He's been injured often, not 100% the last number of years. He's never played third base on a regular basis ever. It's never happened in his career. Usually, third base is seen as a power position. He's not a power hitter. All of those signs say that having him as your starting third baseman is not a good idea. I would love for the Yankees to be able to do something to address third base. Last week on Start Spreading the News, on the Tuesday discussion, we asked that question. My answer was maybe the Yankees could make a crazy trade with the Pirates to get Ke'Bryan Hayes, Charlie Hayes' son. That would be fun. Charlie Hayes was a Yankee champion, caught the last out of the 1996 World Series. But I don't think that's likely. But bringing in a real third baseman like Gio Urshela might make sense. I think it does make sense, not even might. He doesn't have to play every day, but he could be the pretty much regular third baseman. And then DJ LeMahieu could play third base sometimes. He could play second base sometimes. He could play first base sometimes. I think that's where LeMahieu's best chances for success lie, in playing sometimes. I don't think playing every day is the best idea for DJ LeMahieu. If he can't do it, the Yankees' fallback position is either Oswald Peraza or Oswaldo Cabrera, neither of whom also have hit in the major leagues. So I think third base is a position of concern. In left field, the Yankees are going to have Juan Soto. Now, I think Juan Soto is a phenomenal baseball player. I think the Yankees getting Juan Soto was brilliant, wonderful, fantastic, terrific, and awesome. And I know there are the Juan Soto detractors that say, well, he can't play defense. I think he'll be fine. There have been plenty of baseball teams with left fielders who haven't been the greatest defensively. If you can hit like Juan Soto, if you can get on base like Juan Soto, you're going to be fine. Juan Soto is a premier offensive player. I've said this before, but he's 19th overall in the history of Major League Baseball in getting on base. Only 18 guys in the entire history of the game have gotten on base better than Juan Soto. And now he's a Yankee. There's nothing not to like. When you have a player who's that dominant, that great, you just say, this is awesome. You don't go looking for all the flaws. The Yankees are fine in left field. If they DH Juan Soto, Alex Verdugo is a solid left fielder himself, who they picked up from the Red Sox. I'm happy Verdugo's on the team. I think at this point, Verdugo really has more of a bench role, or the Yankees put Juan Soto in right field, Verdugo in left field, and Aaron Judge in center field. And that could happen. It's not the greatest, in my opinion. I don't really want to see Aaron Judge in center field. Judge misses time. Since 2018, I think he's only played in 75% of the Yankees games. You're going to miss 25% of a season. That's a problem. And that's been basically Aaron Judge's history. I don't think putting him as he starts to get older and older, now he's into his 30s, in center field full time is the best thing for his short-term health or his long-term health. So I wouldn't do it. Another reason I think the Yankees should get Cody Bellinger, he can be the center fielder. Then you don't have to worry about it. Soto in left, Bellinger in center, Judge in right. It's nice. Without Bellinger, the Yankees have to come up with these various iterations. Soto in right, Soto in left, Verdugo in left, Judge in center. Not a big fan. I'm glad Verdugo's on the field, on the team. I think he's a good player. And one thing the Yankees haven't had is a deep bench these last many years. There's been nobody on the bench. If Soto starts in left and Verdugo is on the bench, they have somebody on the bench. They have a pinch hitter. They have a guy who can come in and run a little bit. They've got a defender who can improve on Soto's defense. But the problem with that is I wouldn't take Soto out of a game except if he had just batted and it's like the bottom of the ninth and you have a 1-run lead and it's not like he's going to bat again. I never want to take his bat out of the lineup. I don't think that helps you win. So I think Soto's an everyday, every inning player 99% of the time. The other guy who can play center is the guy they acquired with Soto, Trent Grisham. Now, he's an elite defensive center fielder, but he's not a great hitter. And that's where the problem lies. If you play him in center, that can improve your defense tremendously with Judge in right. And that can even mitigate against Juan Soto in left, not being a great defender. But you're going to hurt yourself offensively. And so, again, I think this is why Cody Bellinger makes a lot of sense. If the Yankees were to get Cody Bellinger, they would also then have Alex Verdugo and Grisham as guys who they might be able to deal for maybe a third baseman, maybe another starting pitcher, which we're going to get to. So I think they're pretty set in the outfield. We'll get to Aaron Judge in one moment, but I think they're pretty set. But I think if they really want to go for it, if they want to be all in, there's another move to make, and that is Cody Bellinger. Right field, well, you have Aaron Judge. I would do everything in my power to keep him only in right field. I want Judge playing every day. I would DH him to give him some rest, but the Yankees need his bat in the lineup. And the possibility, the thought of Judge and Soto hitting back-to-back, if it were me, I'd make it Soto than Judge. I want Soto to get on base so Judge can drive him in. Soto gets on base more often than Judge does. So I want the guy who gets on base in front of the bigger hitter. You could argue that Soto's just as good of a hitter. Maybe he is, especially being a left-handed hitter. And you could say that we'd want Soto to protect Judge. That makes sense. I can buy it. But I want Soto first and Judge next. You know where this is going. Of course, it would be nice if the Yankees had one other really good hitter behind Aaron Judge or Soto, whoever's the second person in that tandem, which means getting Cody Bellinger makes a heck of a lot of sense there as well. But Judge is fine. I mean, he's one of the best players in the game. He's outstanding defensively. He has a rocket for an arm. The reason I would never move him to left field, because one of his great skills is that arm, and it plays less well in left. That's why you put your guys with the weaker arm in left and the guys with the great arms in right. And why those players historically with great arms in their primes are never moved out of right field and put into left field. Roberto Clemente, Ichiro, on and on and on. So you look at those positions, and I think the Yankees are pretty good. Can they improve? Sure. I think Bellinger moves them up a big step. And third base is a bit of a question, but those are the only places where I see the Yankees having any opportunity or need to improve. They're pretty good. Juan Soto and Verdugo and Grisham solve a lot of problems. Now, the DH is going to be Giancarlo Stanton. EJ and I have talked a lot about Stanton. And on the Bronx Beat podcast, EJ's talked about Stanton. And we've put those articles on Start Spreading the News as well. EJ has an interesting idea where Stanton plays mostly only against lefties. He's the DH. Grisham plays in center. And then you sit Stanton against the tough righties who he doesn't seem to be able to hit anymore. I'm down with that. I think that makes a lot of sense. The thing that I'm happy about with the acquisition of Soto, and it would even be better if they get Bellinger, is that Stanton doesn't have to be a 4 or a 5 or even a number 6 hitter in the Yankee lineup going forward. A lot of people are down on Stanton, and he's been terrible. But if he's your number 7 hitter, he's still going to blast 20 to 30 home runs. And I think his production will improve batting lower in the lineup because, my goodness, if you're a pitcher and you've got to get out Soto and you're pitching with men on base all the time, and then Judge, and then Gleyber Torres, and then Anthony Rizzo, and maybe Cody Bellinger, by the time you get to Giancarlo Stanton, hopefully in the number 7 spot in the batting order, my goodness, you're tired. You've used up all of your arsenal. You're going to think, oh, it's Stanton. He's washed up. I can sneak a fastball by him. I don't have to work as hard. And especially if the guys behind him, Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe, are fulfilling their promise, Stanton looks like the easiest out in the lineup at that point. Of course, it's just natural that a pitcher's going to let off a little bit. He's going to try to get by without struggling as much. He might not feel like he has to use his very best stuff. He might not have to amp up his fastball the nth degree to get Stanton out. And I think as a result of all that, Stanton should have a nice rebound season batting in the number 7 spot. Could really be something special for the Yankees. So, yeah, I'm not happy with Giancarlo Stanton's production the last many years. I'm not happy that he's always hurt. I'm not happy that he doesn't seem to hustle or that he can't. Last year, that play when he was tagged out at home plate after basically walking was abhorrent. It was disastrous. And again, the fact that the Yankees didn't address that. There were only 2 possible results that you could have had from that. Either he wasn't trying or he was injured. And either way, you have to take him out of the lineup. There has to be some accountability. If he's injured and he can't run, he shouldn't be playing. You put him on the injured list, right? Or if he's not trying, that means he's not hustling. That means he's hurting your team, and you bench him. You say, buddy, you're going to play like that? You're not playing. The Yankees, of course, did neither. But going forward, because that's what we're talking about, I think they're going to be okay with Giancarlo Stanton as the DH. So pretty much the Yankees' position players are set. It's not a bad team. It's actually a very good team. And as I've said, Juan Soto changes a lot and makes them so much better in so many ways. Can there be other things they do? Yes. I'd love for Bellinger to really solidify the lineup and solidify the outfield. He gives us Anthony Rizzo insurance at first base. He plays a great center field, which keeps Judge in right field. and he makes other players expendable to trade to try to address third base or the pitching staff. Now, I'm not going to get into the bullpen because bullpens are so volatile. There's so many different people that are moved in and out of the bullpen, up and down from the minor leagues. And the Yankees, for all the critique, as I've said a million times here as well, always seem to figure out the bullpen. And to be honest, I don't think it's all that hard. You just need quality arms, and the Yankees seem to have them in abundance who can come in and get a few guys out. And then you feel like once they've used up their special abilities, you send them down and you bring up the next arm. That seems to be the way the Yankees and many teams have been doing it for the last many years. And so it works. I'm okay with the bullpen. I trust the Yankees to figure that out. But the starting rotation right now is scary. You have Garrett Cole, but he's coming off his greatest season. And he's not young either. I think he'll be 33. You can't expect Garrett Cole to be super great every year and always. Will he be very, very good? Of course, he should be. But he's the only real lock you have in that rotation. That's why signing Yamamoto is so important. The Yankees need a second big-time pitcher. You could argue they need a third big-time pitcher, which again, well, if they got Bellinger and they have some players to trade, maybe you can make a deal with the Brewers for a guy like Corbin Burns. Wouldn't that be something? But you definitely need to sign a big-time pitcher, and that really looks like Yamamoto. So you have Cole, Yamamoto. Now, to be honest, I think he's going to the Dodgers. I think all signs point that way. But right now, let's stay hopeful. Cole, Yamamoto, and then I think you can fill in the rest. I'd love for the number 3 guy to be Corbin Burns, and I think the Yankees have the ability to play big with the Brewers and offer them a lot. If you have Bellinger and Soto and Judge, and Jason Dominguez is coming back and supposedly is major league talent, he seemed to be when he played for a week, and if his arm is all healed, though I'm not counting on that for 2024, but that pretty much says that the outfield's pretty set for the next many, many years, right? So if you want to even then say Spencer Jones is untouchable, then the rest of your outfield prospects are all up for grabs, right? You can deal all of them. You're not going to be needing to stockpile millions of young players. So the Yankees should be very able to make some great deals to try to get a big-time pitcher. But anyway, you've got Cole. You need that number 2 guy. If it's not Yamamoto, it's got to be somebody. I don't think the answer is Blake Snell. He just doesn't pitch enough innings. He's a 5-inning guy. I think that's problematic. Again, this is why I'd love to see Cole, Yamamoto, Burns. I mean, that would be amazing. But just judging by what the Yankees have right now, you have Cole. Your number 2 guy right now is Carlos Rodon. Now, Rodon should bounce back. He should be healthy. He is, when healthy, a very, very, very good pitcher. He's an ace. So you do have that second guy who's really good, who can partner with Cole to be a top-notch pitcher. That is true. But the big question around Rodon is, can he pitch in New York? He didn't do well last year. And will he be healthy? If he is, the Yankees are set. I'd love him to be your 3, Cole, Yamamoto, Rodon. Oh, my goodness. Or your 4, Cole, Yamamoto, Burns, Rodon. Oh, my goodness. Now you're talking super team. The next guy is Nestor Cortez. You know, Nestor's always been one of these guys that's defied logic. He bounced around. He came back to the Yankees, I think, for the 93rd time. And then he was amazing until last year when he was hurt. Is he that amazing pitcher from 2 years ago and 3 years ago, or is he more this guy who's a middling pitcher? I'd love him to be my number 5 guy. But if he's your number 4 guy, you're okay. If he's your number 3 guy, I think you're in trouble. I don't think he's a number 3 pitcher. I like Nestor Cortez, but I like him further down the rotation. The next guy is Clark Schmidt. Now, he proved last year he can pitch every day, and he did well enough, but he's, again, a 5-inning guy. I don't think he's the answer. If he's your 5th starter, that's okay. If he's your 6th starter, the guy who fills in an emergency, that's terrific. That's where I want Clark Schmidt. That's why I think the Yankees need to get 2 starting pitchers. And that's a quick look at where the Yankees are. I think they're on the precipice, a couple of moves away from really being maybe the best team in baseball, but certainly the best team in the American League. 1 or 2 top-notch pitchers and Cody Bellinger? Oh, my goodness. I think with that, you can live with whatever solution they put at third base, because third base is not going to be all that necessary to have a great player there. All right, so for the second half of the show, let's do that quiz I talked about at the top. Now, this will be fun. I'll say a position, and you watching at home or listening in your mind or write down who the player is. The starters are easy, but it's the bench guys that I think are going to be somewhat of a difficulty to get up. But before we talk about them, it is the holiday season. And let me do a couple of quick commercials. I wrote this wonderful book. It's called The Least Among Them. Marty Appel calls it the ultimate insider book. The Least Among Them is the history of the Yankees told in a completely different way. I tell the story of the 29 players whose entire career lasted for just 1 game as a Yankee. But in addition to those stories, I tell 1,000,000 or 29 other great stories about Yankees history. Babe Ruth's called shot, Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak. I talk about all sorts of unique stories in Yankee history. We talk about Yankee players who started in Japan. We talk about the sad story of Yankees and airplanes and all sorts of interesting, amazing, and wonderful connections from those 29 players to the rest of Yankees history. The Least Among Them was considered one of the best books by National Review in 2021. My other great baseball book, as Ian O'Connor says here, is From Compton to the Bronx, Roy White's autobiography, written with me. It was one of the great honors of my life to have Roy White trust me enough with his life story to get it published. And it's been a hit. Sports Collectors Digest just ranked Roy White, From Compton to the Bronx, as one of the best baseball books of 2023. Both of those books have won writing awards, book awards. This is a fantastic story. The story of Roy White, how he comes from the inner city of Compton to become a Yankee star for 15 years, is amazing. Roy White bridged the gap between Mickey Mantle and the great Yankee teams of the late 70s. He was a teammate with Thurman Munson longer than anybody else. He faced segregation in the Deep South when he first started playing. And then he went on to star in Japan. A decent, good human being and an excellent baseball player who deserves to be in Monument Park. The story of Roy White is one that you don't want to miss. That's a great book to purchase for the Yankee fan or the baseball fan or the person who just wants a story of a person who overcame tremendous odds to be successful. Roy White, From Compton to the Bronx. All right, here we go. I have the 2009 Yankees. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get through this all in 20 minutes or so, but we'll try. Here we go. Position players. We'll start with the catcher. Write it down. I'll give a few seconds. All right. If you didn't know that was Jorge Posada as the starting catcher, you're off to a bad start. First base was a guy the Yankees signed for that season. He was a Yankee for a long time. Write it down. If you don't know that the first baseman was Mark Teixeira, oh, this is not a great quiz for you. Remember, the starters are easy. The second baseman, his first name is the last name of one of the most important players in baseball history. Write it down. Get it in your head. If you don't remember that the second baseman on the 2009 Yankees was Robinson Cano, yeah, there's work to do here. The shortstop, well, if you don't realize that the shortstop was Derek Jeter, there's no more time necessary for this quiz. Just listen to the answers because that is an easy one. All right, so we're moving along. Remember, the fun comes when we try to remember all the other guys. The third baseman, of course, is simple too. Alex Rodriguez. Now, left field is one of those positions that people might forget who really played left field for the 2009 Yankees because they're thinking, aha, I know. But the guy most people are thinking of was the DH. The left fielder was Johnny Damon. The center fielder, the guy who played more games than the other guy, might surprise you as well. As Baseball Reference lists it, the starting center fielder on the 2009 Yankees was Melky Cabrera. Now, that throws people for a little bit of a loop. Everybody thinks it's Brett Gardner. Brett Gardner was on the team. Brett Gardner played 108 games in 2009, but Melky Cabrera played 154 games in 2009. And the right fielder might also give people pause. He was signed, traded for actually, before that season. Nick Swisher played 150 games for the Yankees in 2009. And the DH, the guy many people thought was the left fielder, Hideki Matsui, who goes on, of course, to be the MVP of the 2009 World Series. But this is where it gets fun, the bench players. And I think we'll stop there when that's over, and maybe another time we'll do the pitching staff. We already mentioned Brett Gardner. You ready? Here's where it gets fun. The backup catcher played in 52 games, hit only 217. Take a moment. Try to think of the backup catcher on the 2009 Yankees. If you said Jose Molina, you're right. How about a backup infielder? He played in 69 games, hit 287, 1 homer, 10 RBIs, was 4 out of 5 in stolen base attempts. Told you this is where it gets hard. For fun, we'll give you initials. RP. Ramiro Pena. The Yankees had another backup catcher. He played in 42 games at 298. A lot of people probably wrote him for the other answer above. Francisco Cervelli. How about a backup outfielder who the Yankees acquired during the season? For the 2009 season, he had 226 with 7 homers and 14 RBIs. His initials are EH. Can you figure that guy out? Eric Hinsky. These are fun, right? The next utility player, initials JH, was the son of a major leaguer, Jerry Hairston. Now, here's one that I don't think anybody would get. A backup third baseman. He hit only 190. He played in 31 games. His initials, CR. Think about it. If you wrote Cody Ransom, or if you thought of Cody Ransom, that's impressive. Now, there was an outfielder who has a first name beginning with the letter X. Yankees picked him up, and he didn't quite become the player I think a lot of people thought he might be. Initials XN. Xavier Nady. There was a catcher on that team who played in 10 games. He had 28 at-bats. He hit just .231, and he would later become a Yankee nemesis as a manager of one of their arch rivals. That's right. If you said Kevin Cash was on the 2009 Yankees, you'd be correct. He was. Couple more. Another infielder, played a lot of third base. His initials are AB. Angel Baroa. I think he was the rookie of the year that Hideki Matsui should have won it. A Yankee who hit a lot of home runs, big, strong, first base, DH, outfield type, is now a big-time Yankee minor league manager. Initials SD. He played in only 11 games in 2009, but that was Shelley Duncan, also the son of a former major leaguer. First base, one of these guys who a lot of people thought was an up-and-coming, maybe superstar-ish type power hitter, didn't really work out. Initials YM. Juan Miranda. And the last guy mentioned on Baseball Reference who played in a position for the 2009 Yankees, he played in only 10 games. He had only 7 plate appearances on the season. He hit just 167. His initials, FG. Freddie Guzman. Wow. See, that's kind of hard. That's tough stuff. Actually, we have a little bit of time here. That one quicker than I thought. So why not? Let's jump into the pitchers. Well, at least do the main pitchers. This is a little bit easier, I think, before we get into the deep guys in the bullpen. We're just going to name, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the top 10 Yankee pitchers of 2009. The big guy, the guy they acquired, the Yankees went all in 2009. He went 19-8 with a 3.37 ERA and 34 starts. He gave them 230 innings. CC Sabathia. Absolutely. That was a given. That's an easy one. The Yankees also brought in a 32-year-old pitcher who went 13-9 with a 4.04 ERA. He made 33 starts and threw 207 innings. Do you remember A.J. Burnett? The third pitcher was a guy who is a Yankee legend. Unfortunately, he left the Yankees for a couple years to play with the Astros, but he came back by then. Made 32 starts through 134 innings, went 14-8. The great Andy Pettitte. And then a guy who had 31 starts. People don't remember this either. 4th on the 2009 Yankees in starts. There were special rules made about him. That's right. Jabba Chamberlain. Now, the closer, of course, Mariano Rivera. We don't have to spend any time on that. But the rest of the bullpen's a little bit interesting, too. This pitcher pitched in 51 games and had a 3.03 ERA. Went 8-3. He even saved 3 games. Do you remember a pitcher with the initials PH? Phil Hughes, big-time relief pitcher on the 2009 Yankees. No one really remembers that. Or how about a pitcher with the initials PC, a lefty, as I recall, 4-3, 72 games, 4.50 ERA through 60 innings out of the pen. Initials PC. Do you remember? Phil Koch. Then a longtime Yankee, a guy that still pitching in the major leagues, and a lot of people would love to see the Yankees acquire one more time. High socks for hope. pitched in 45 games with a 3.30 ERA, saved one game and had a 2-1 record. Otherwise, David Robertson. And the last Yankee pitcher who threw two more, a significant amount of innings, a right-hander, initials BB, Brian Bruni. And the last guy, I don't think he spent the whole year with the Yankees, but he's listed here as pitching 43 games, but I think that was for the whole season. So the rest of the guys didn't pitch as many games for the Yankees. These were the guys who pitched the most. Alfredo Aceves. He went 10-1 with a 3.54 ERA. Let's pull his record up real quickly. Did he spend the whole year with the 2009 Yankees? He did. I don't remember that at all. 43 games, 10-1, 3.54 ERA through 84 innings. Oh my goodness, what a year he had. 10-1. Alfredo Aceves. I don't remember him spending the entire season with the Yankees. Pretty cool stuff. All right. This is the last week, of course, before Christmas. Next Monday is Christmas. Hanukkah just ended a few days ago. What I would love to wish for all of you is a happy and healthy holiday season, but not just a happy and healthy holiday season. I want to wish you a happy and healthy year, a happy and healthy every single day. I hope whatever you celebrate, however you celebrate, that you find the way to find joy and to give joy and to help make the lives of other people better. On the Dr. Sem show, I start each show by saying, let's make today a great day. And then I ask how you can make your days great. And I say the way you do that is by looking for the good and appreciating the good. And the other way is by perpetuating that good, by giving it to others, by sharing whatever goodness you have with others. Kindness, your time, your talents, your thoughts. One by one, we pay it forward to help make the world and each other's lives better. I wish you all happiness always. I hope if you're celebrating holidays that people give you lots of presents. I hope also that you give lots of presents, but I hope you get whatever it is you're hoping for, because you know what? That's also part of the fun of the season. I'll be back here solo again next Monday night, 9 p.m. on Christmas night. It'll be pre-recorded, and then EJ and I will both be together again to kick off 2024 live at 9 p.m. in our regular spot. And let's hope by then the Yankees have wrapped up a few pitchers and they've made that team so great that they're going to be so much fun to watch next year. Until then, again, a recording next week, live in 2 weeks. Have a happy day. Have a happy week. Happy holidays. And thanks for watching.